Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I am going to share a different kind of recipe with you because normally the recipes that I share are quick and easy and they don't require a lot of ingredients. No fussing is involved, but today I'm going to share a recipe with you for pumpkin cheesecake chocolate chip. Maybe I should have named that the other way around. Chocolate chip pumpkin cheesecake muffins. And this recipe requires almost all the bowls in the house and a lot of ingredients, most of which I had in my fridge and in my pantry. I only had to step out to pick up the chocolate chips. Everything else I had. I made this recipe a couple of weekends ago for my niece who was going on a horse weekend and needed to take some treats along. That was her contribution to it. So I made the muffins and some lemon cookies. So I've made this recipe before, and that's where I get the knowledge of how much space and how many bowls it takes up. But it's worth it. It's totally worth the effort. And these are excellent muffins. They got rave reviews, and I said that I would make them again. And some of the ladies were asking for the recipe. So here it is. I will be right back with step one right after this. So I'm going to call this part one of the multiple steps that it takes to make these delicious muffins. The first step is a crumble topping. We're going to get it made, and then we're going to get the cheesecake filling made, and then we'll make the muffin, and then we'll put it all together. So part one, you need 2/3 of a cup of flour in a small bowl, and you need a teaspoon of cinnamon, and I'm going to need a teaspoon of brown sugar, and also last for this part, we need 1/4 of a cup of melted butter. So I'll melt that butter and be right back. Still working on the crumb topping, and I've just melted the butter in the microwave, and I'm just going to mix these ingredients together. So just as a reminder, this is 2/3 of a cup of flour. What was that? 2/3 of a cup of flour, 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 cup of melted butter. And we're just going to stir this up. So we're making a crumb topping, Okay, we're making a crumb topping for our chocolate chip pumpkin cheesecake muffins. Okay, I'm feeling good about how that looks. It's pretty crumbly, and I'm going to set that aside. Step number two, we're actually going to make the cheesecake filling that's going to go into these muffins. That's what we're going to do next. So into this bowl number two, we're going to add 6 ounces of cream cheese, and I have let it sit on the counter to soften. It's best if it's softened. And now we need 1 egg yolk. I'm going to bring this little ramekin back because I don't need the white, just the yolk. So I'm going to gather that. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar in here, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. So yes, we're using all of the measuring cups, measuring spoons, and bowls for this recipe. And so now we're going to mix this up. Keep that. And this takes a little bit of time just to work the egg yolk into the cheese and the sugar. And the vanilla right now is making the sugar look like it's brown sugar, but it's not, I assure you. We used white sugar for this. And want to mix this pretty good. In fact, I might get a little whisk and give it a whisk. And once we've got that smooth, then we'll move on to making the muffins. And then we'll go from there to show you how we layer these ingredients to make these fantastic muffins. This is more like a dessert muffin. What's the difference between a cupcake and a muffin? Some might ask. Well, okay, let's get rid of that. Now I'm going to get a big bowl and we'll move on to the muffin mix. I'll be right back. So I'm not sure you've ever seen so much clutter going on my counter, but that's what we're up to today. So this is a recipe where we're going to keep the wet ingredients together and the dry ingredients together and fold the wet into the dry at the last minute. So the first thing we need is a half a cup of white sugar and a half a cup of brown sugar. I'm going to go for the brown sugar first because it's closest to me. And I'll put the lid back on that so it doesn't dry out. And I'm going to next scoop out a half a cup of white sugar. And now I'll start on the other dry ingredients. So we need 1 3/4 cups of flour. And I've got that right here. There's one. I'm going to give it my best guess at 3/4 because 1 3/4. Now I need some baking powder. I need a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda. And the two of them mixed together help to bring the muffins up and keep them up so that they have a nice round top on them. And that's the way we like them, is to have a nice round top rather than be flat. And we need a half a teaspoon of salt. And we need 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now last but not least, for the dry ingredients, we need 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie seasoning. Now if you don't happen to have that, you can look up online and find out what the ingredients are. I'm sure you have them all in your home and you could make it up easy enough to make. I'm just going to stir this together. I'm going to try and get all the lumps out of the brown sugar. And brown sugar can be pretty clumpy, and it's not nice to get a big lump of uncooked brown sugar in the middle of your muffin. So do try to take the little bit of time to get that done. Okay, I think we're good there. All right, now over here in this bowl we're going to mix the wet ingredients. So we need 2 large eggs. And these are just large eggs that I bought at the grocery store. I'm not getting farm fresh eggs at the moment. So I'm using them from the grocery store. I need a half a cup of vegetable oil. And 1/3 of a cup of milk. Half a cup of veg oil, and 1/3 of a cup of milk. And I think this is the 1/3 cup. It is. And just making sure I'm not missing anything. The only thing that I don't have in here now, I think, well, there's the vanilla. We need a teaspoon of vanilla. Can you see it? Oh, there it is. A teaspoon of vanilla, and then we need 1 cup of pumpkin puree, and not pumpkin pie filling, but pumpkin puree. So if you're roasting your own pumpkin, that's perfectly fine. It'll be delicious that way if you have lots. But I didn't have any, so I just bought the puree from the grocery store. And I've had it in the cupboard for a while. In fact, the only thing I didn't have in the cupboard was the chocolate chip. And so I need 1 cup. What did I do? There it is. And this is probably why I don't bake that much, because it makes such a clutter everywhere. But it's worth it in the end. Well, this, as I said, makes a lot of mess and uses every bowl and all the utensils and all the measuring cups and all the space you have in your kitchen. It is worth it in the end. Now, I wouldn't make this recipe just for the everyday. I would certainly save it for special occasions, but it is a great special occasion recipe. Put it back on that. I am going to reach for the other whisk in the drawer, and I'm going to give this a good whisk. Breaking up those eggs and just mix this really well. I really hesitated sharing this recipe because I've always given you nice, easy recipes that don't take a lot of ingredients, nor do they take a lot of time. And I make one-pot meals where I can. But you know what? Sometimes we have to step out of our comfort zone and do these things. And I wanted to show you that it's not impossible to do this. I'm trying to work on it as I go. Now, the only thing that I don't have right here is the chocolate chips. So I will be right back and we'll get this all together and get it into the muffin tins. Now I'm going to mix the wet ingredients into the dry. And I don't want to handle this too much, because if you mix the dough too much, it will get tough. It activates the glutens in the flour, and we don't want to do that. But we do want it to be thoroughly mixed. So when it gets to be about halfway mixed, which is where I am right now, I didn't take too many turns of the tool. I am going to add about a half a cup of, I've got mini chocolate chips here, but you could use whatever size you have. And I'm just going to mix these in with the mix. And I'm only going to mix it long enough where I don't see dry flour anymore, but only just, and not 1 minute longer. There. I think we're almost there. I don't see anymore. Okay, so now I have taken my muffin tins and I've used just a regular largish sized liner in them. And I am going to use my ice cream scoop. I actually use this for baking cookies, all kinds of cookies. Whatever I'm making, this is the size they're going to be. I'm not sure what size it is, and it doesn't say. But I just am going to put 1 scoop into the bottom of each of these. Now this recipe should make between 12 and 14 muffins. And they are quite generous muffins, so if you're looking to please a crowd, you can sure do it with these. In fact, these are quite hearty with the pumpkin in there. Lots of fiber. And they definitely don't take, they take quite a bit of time. All the preparation, gathering everything up, getting out the bowls. Yeah, it's a to-do. It's a to-do. But, as I said, it's worth it if you're trying to impress somebody. Now, we've done that, and I'm just going to grab the cream cheese mix And I'm going to maybe grab a teaspoon. Got everything here in the kitchen all close together. I pull my island close to my kitchen sink and I stage everything over there on the side and try and keep everything really close to me so I don't have to make a lot of trips. So I'm going to take about a rounded teaspoon of the cheesecake mixture and I'm going to put it into the center of the muffin mix and just press it down a little bit. I don't want it to reach the outer edges because then it would kind of spill out. I don't want it to do that. So in you go, because we're going to cover these with more muffin mix. Now you could certainly make this very muffin recipe without the topping and without the cream cheese and it'd still be delicious. But this just makes them extra special. And I bet you have people in your life you want to make feel extra special too. And when they look at these muffins, they're going to know you went the extra mile. And they bite into them, and here's the ooey gooey cheese in the center. They're going to think you're like magic, that you were able to get cream cheese into the center of these muffins. But it's really all in how we do it. Set a little bit over, so any of them that I think needs to be a little more full, I can fill them. But I'm pretty satisfied with them the way they are. Okay, so we'll set that aside. Back I come with the, I'm going to get a tissue. Just a little kitchen towel to take care of this finger. And then I'm going to come back to my scoop and I am going to scoop onto the top another scoop of the filling. And then I am going, sorry, not the filling, I guess it's the muffin. And then I will go around with a spoon and make sure that all the edges of the muffin are down. Don't be afraid to fill these muffin cups because they rise better when they're a full cup. And remember, we still have strudel to put on the top or crumbs. So we definitely have enough. When you fill your muffin cups almost to the top, they have a tendency to fluff up and to not flatten out, which seems to be a problem with filled muffins. Okay, I'm short mix for one of my muffins. So I'm going to do a little backyard deal here. And I'm going to steal from some and I'm going to fill that one up. Man, the things we do in our kitchens. And there we go. I think that's going to do it. Back I go. Now, I'm going to grab another spoon. Here we go, another spoon. And I'm just going to tuck this all the way around the edges, like so, to make sure I've got all my cream filling hidden inside. And doesn't take long, as you can see. Just rip around and level them out. This one, still a little short. There we go. And wow. Oh, I hope you're not put off by this little additional work here. It's worth it. Now, I'm going to add the streusel topping. And I'm just going to break it up because the butter has gotten cold now, so it has a tendency to clump up then. So just break it up a little bit. And I'm just going to add a little shake to the tops of each one. And then this is going to go, these pans are going to go into a 425-degree oven. And after 5 minutes, I just have to double check. After 5 minutes, I'm going to reduce the heat to 350 degrees. And then I'm going to cook them for 17 minutes. So that they're completely cooked through at that point. Just got a little messy there. I can hardly wait to show them to you so that you can see they're definitely worth the work. And there we go. Okay, folks, I hope this is something you would give an opportunity to try. Give yourself the opportunity to try it. I know it looks like a lot of work, and it's more than I usually do, but it's worth it. So these are going to go into the oven. As I said, it's at 425. It's preheated. They're going to go in there for 5 minutes. Then I'm going to reduce the heat, set the timer for 17 minutes, and then I will let them cool in the pan for 10 minutes before I try to take the muffin cups out of the pan. And at that stage, I will be back to show off. I'll see you then. Here they are, folks. Look at these delicious muffins. They have risen up nicely. They've got that beautiful brown streusel on the top. And they are delicious. I do hope you give these a try, and if you do, please share this recipe with your friends. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do that. I would appreciate that. Give this video a like or a thumbs up, and I will see you again soon on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.